Well, after the challenge of Hockenheim, we head to one of the classic tracks in Japan for Okayama for round 2 of the SIMAGIC F4 series, where some of the best drivers in Malta challenged the F4s on iRacing. Well, I am Craig King. Joining me is Joseph Black. Christian Deploy is the director for tonight. And after the first round 2 weeks ago, it is looking very exciting. And with more races left in the season, it's always nice to have a quick look at that calendar. And Joseph, it looks a very challenging schedule for the rest of the season.
Certainly does. Looks a very fun one though, as it is. And well, there's a lot of different challenges thrown up. Of course, we got Okayama here tonight, which will be fascinating to see the drivers competing around. You've got Navarra, you've got Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, you've got Snetterton, all different climates, all different circuit layouts. So it should be a fascinating watch as we head through this 5-round short, sharp season.
It's short, it's sharp, but it is a challenge. And to find out more about this fantastic track in Japan, underrated, but always a classic, this is our track guide of Okayama.
Welcome to Okayama International Circuit. Located an hour's drive northeast of its titular city, it sits nestled among the green, lush hills in southern Japan. Built in 1990, it's most well known for the 2 visits Formula One made in 94 and 95. But since then, national and international touring car series have come to race here as well. Otherwise, the 2 available layouts are mostly used for club racing and amateur track days. The full course is just under 4 kilometers with 11 turns, and the short version is a measly 2 kilometers with 7 turns. It does this by cutting out the portion between Williams and Revolver. While hairpins abound throughout the lap, overtakes tend to be surprisingly hard. The first corner, Atwood Curve, and Hairpin are the main spots where drivers can attempt a traditional pass. Hairpin makes for unique battles though. The unusually steep banking for a road course, plus the switch back into Revolver, means that holding it around the outside can reward a brave driver. However, while it is a more modern facility, runoff in some places is shockingly small, and it can be easy to damage your car. This section in particular around Revolver, Piper, and Redmond gets slightly claustrophobic. The pit entry requires some practice since you must use the inside lane of Mike Knight, otherwise you'll get a penalty. While it might not see as much use in the real world, here on iRacing this track is part of the base content, and so new road racers will find themselves here frequently. With it being suitable for a wide range of styles of cars, it's sure to excite many of the competitors who tackle it.
Joseph, I'm a fan of this track, but there's not a lot of overtaking places.
No, not particularly easy to overtake, but that will emphasise the point of our 3 laps of qualifying and emphasise the importance of it as well. And then we're going to have 2 races here today, and I'm sure the drivers are going to be giving it a go to make those moves in both the feature, which is 25 minutes long, and the sprint afterwards, 15 minutes of dashing, and well, around this 3.72 kilometre circuit. I'm sure, even though there's not many overtaking opportunities, they'll make them.
Yeah, pay attention to the hairpin corner at 5. That usually opens up to some side-by-side action through Revolver at 6 and 7 at Piper. Then Redmond at 8. That always is a fun aspect of Okayama as they are getting themselves ready to do the practice. We had 1 round last week, and we do have 1 person leading the way out there as they get themselves ready to do practice. There is Mikhail Makechka leading the championship, with Aaron Di Battista in 2nd. Dean Vella is 3rd, and then Sean Kassar in 4th. Just ahead of Jake Stammer in 5th. Adrian Manduka will be 6th, and Sheldon Muscat 7th. Craig Caruana is in 8th place, and of course there's also more drivers as Brandon Manello, Ryan Carabot both got points, and Jaden Ulu also picked up the last point thanks to the reverse grid of the sprint race, which of course is an 8-car reverse grid. Everybody else on 0 points: Denzel Agius, George Page, Elan Igrisci, Mark Shembri, Pablo Calamari, Steve Farrell, and Trishan Moodley, all not in the points. But early doors in the season, lots of time for them to get some points out there as qualifying is just starting. The drivers are on their formation laps. It will be 3 laps, as Joseph did say, 12 minutes, and it's only a 90-second track this, so it's going to be a pretty quick qualifying.
It is. It's going to be a very quick qualifying indeed, as you say, and we've got just under 11 minutes to go in it as we've got our first few cars heading out onto the circuit. This is the number 97 of Mikhail Macheka, who is heading through on his first lap. As we say, they get 3 laps in this qualifying session, and this is a completely bone dry circuit. There is our former Aversio man, the number 97, heading through at the moment at the final part of the lap, and we will see how many or what the benchmark lap time is going to be, in fact, for the 97. He'll be the first one to set a time, and around the final corner he will come, and it will be a 1 minute 20, 1 minute 30. The line is later down the line than I thought it was. It's going to be a 1 minute 32, and well, in fact, it's going to be an invalid lap, so he's going to have to go again.
Yeah, he's going to go again as he's come through the first corner. And then it's now through Williams. And as you can see, holding on to that throttle into 5th gear on board. Now through the Moss S's, and now hard braking for the upward curve up the hill. And this is where you start to get your chances for overtaking. Very slipstream dependent car and a very slipstream dependent track here. You'll take the long run through this straight, and this is where it's all going to be won and lost later on, as he will go hard braking into the hairpin corner. Look at the camber, gone very wide, as well. I think he missed it there, but we can still just show people what they expect to see after that left into Revolver. And you'll see a lot of side-by-side through here as well. Now Piper as well, get the throttle back up. He knows that this is just a little bit of a lap now to just set himself up. But Redmond again, look at the elevation change there. Also camber. You're going to struggle to try and go around the outside there. Hobbs and then Mike Knight. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because you can get a slowdown if you cut Mike Knight and the last corner a bit too much. So might be seeing some drivers flirt with the dreaded slowdown. But this will be an invalid lap. Mikhail Makachka will have to go around again. Got 2 more laps to set a time as Ryan Karabot sets the first of the times.
I misspoke. He's not a former Aversio driver, very much a current one. A lot of the drivers here tonight are going to be racing, representing Project Aversio, one of the top teams in Malta. But Karabot, as you say, has come through and has got a 1 minute 28.037. That will set him at the top of the times, and it will be David Vella in behind him with a lap time just under 400 back, so very, very tight between the top 2 drivers. Then Samata Manduka also equally close for 3rd and 4th, and then we've got gaps starting to spread, but also just 3,000 between De Battista and Cesar in 5th and 6th place. So it's very incredibly tight between all of these drivers at the moment. And well, we've still got 8 minutes left in this qualifying session. Quite a few drivers have been validated early on, so it's just about making sure that you are going to be right on the line. This is what Mikhail Machek is going to struggle with, I think, because of course, as we say, you get 3 laps. If you invalidate the first couple, then that puts all the pressure on your final one.
Yeah, we're seeing Jake Samet right now as Maketska's going around, and other drivers also going around. They're all pretty much grouped up around here. It is independent qualifying, so they're not on the track at the same time. They are, but not around each other. Samet's going to try and go around. Look at him. He's in the Formula style sitting position, as we saw Maketska in that GT style. Samet's going to set a very competitive time, and I'm looking at where Maketska is. It's only good enough for 8th. Adrian Manduka will go up into 3rd, but Dean Vella, he's got to find some time. Still hunting for that time. I just can't get it. That was 200th slower than his first time.
My goodness me, is it going to be close for these drivers? And wow, 200 slower than his best time. That is the demonstration of consistency. Tashan Moodley up to the line and hasn't been able to get a valid time on the board just yet. There's a few of those who struggled. We're now down to 2, Moodley and Farrell, who's just come around the final corner. Bit of dust kicked up. Is this going to be entirely valid from the 15 as he comes to the line? I don't think it will be. In fact, it will. It'll be up to 6th for Farrell. He's going to slot in nicely between Sean Cesar and Aaron De Battista, as Mikhail Maketcha is going to look like he's only going to get that 1 lap on the board, peaking at 9th place.
That's a bit of a surprise there, really. Only 9th place. Got a lot of work, but it isn't a track that you really think about your position in terms of your pace in quali. You have to just work with what the track gives you, work for those positions out there. So maybe that's what he's looking for. Ryan Carabot will go across the line one more time. It's not fast for him. So I think Steve Farrell might be one of the last drivers, as others will be coming around as well. I think Manduka will be crossing the line very shortly. Manduka was an invalid lap. Dean Vella's going to come across the line. How close do you want to get, Dean? And it's not closer this time. I think the tires have worn off for him, and that's unfortunate for him. So Steve Farrell, last man, really. I think Paolo Calamari and Craig Caruana as well got a chance to set some times, but I think RAs will be on the number 15. Can Farrell get a good run here out of Mike Knight? It is. How late do you want to apex the last corner? That's late enough. Use all the AstroTurf runoff there. This is designed for super formulas nowadays. Used to be an F1 track. Well, it's an F4 one for the day. It's a 28.619. They just don't have the time. Paolo Calamari. What had Paolo got? He's going to come across the line. 29.1. Not close, not better. And then Craig Caruana, last man to set a time in that lovely, lovely red burgundy color with a little bit of a blue stripe around there. A little bit of fighting off the steering wheel there. Going to look to see if they can get better than a 28.5. If it's better than a 28.5, it's a 28.6. So nobody improving on their final laps out there. A little bit of a surprise there, I feel.
Certainly is. It shows that the track isn't going to improve as much as we thought it would, as much as many circuits do throughout the course of a session. So that'll be fascinating for the drivers to watch later on, because that means that the lap times aren't going to come down too much towards the end of a stint or the end of a race, where the track hasn't evolved to the point where it's going to be at. Of course, they'll have different race scenarios. They'll have less fuel in the car. They'll have better tyres, presumably. So we'll see what will happen with that one. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, because that's a dynamic that has changed in between lots of circuits and this one. And we're just watching Farrell, who got his lap in right at the very death here. And well, we'll be hoping to climb higher than that 7th place in the number 15 car. But he did well, considering he came late on in the session. He set his lap time right at the very end. And I think now he's just using this as a little bit of extra practice.
Well, nothing saying he can or can't, sorry. So why not? Let's have a quick look at the weather. And it's track temp right now at 29 Celsius at 84 Fahrenheit, of course. And what I'm very interested in is that wind. It's 14 kilometers northeasterly. Now, people are going to say, well, where's northeast on this? Well, to give you an idea, he is now, right now, Farrell is actually going south. This straight goes from north all the way down to the south. So that gives you an idea that for most of this race, they're going to be battling with a side wind. Right now, there's a side wind to the, I can't remember if it's the left or the right. I've lost my bearing, but it's all side winds. That part there, you're going to get a bit of wind, but the side wind's going to be very treacherous out there for these drivers. And it may only be 8 miles an hour. Well, nine miles an hour, but that's the thing. They are very tight. You know, that's enough to just make anything blustery and just anything just set themselves up in this.
Yeah, it will be it'll be interesting to see how they deal with it in this session and in these races. Of course, if they get it wrong in the first one, they have an opportunity to do it all over again, but this time it's going to have to be a little bit quicker.
Yeah, gonna have to be a little bit quicker, but of course, remember, 25 minutes. It's 25 minutes for the first race, 15 for the second. So set yourself up for that first race, and hopefully then just make sure you can ensure that you stay alive in a sprint race. A sprint race is always treacherous, and well, you just don't know what you could expect out there when it comes to the sprint race. But that feature race is going to be very important for the drivers. And I think we're going to have to wait until probably the final 3 laps before we start to see any moves.
Yeah, I think they're going to play it very, very patient, very cautious early on, all the drivers. It'll be a race of attrition around a circuit where there's not going to be many overtaking opportunities. But of course, once they make it to that late stage, then they can start to take those risks. They can start to take those gambles, and then they'll make those moves. They'll climb up, and we'll see where they all end up. Of course, there could be incidents towards the end of the race. There could be incidents at the start of the race. They might gain positions off of the start without much really needing to be done. So we shall see how that one goes. Of course, as you say, sprint race, a little bit different, I think. So they'll be testing out those moves in the feature, and they might be repeating them or trying to stay away from them at the end of the day when they head to the sprint.
Yeah, and of course, you know, if it doesn't work the first time, don't do it again. Just keep yourself alive, and they don't get a spare car in this series. They're going to have to make sure that whatever happens, that they keep themselves running. And going to be an interesting run down to the first corner, because it's a short run down to the first corner. That's what I love about Okayama, and the same with Suzuka. First corner is literally called first corner. How simple can you get out there? And you've got to love the efficiency, but they need to make sure that if they do go side by side through that start, then you've got the problem with Williams and Moss S. You can still go side by side before you get to the outward curve. That's the problem. They're going to have to navigate that issue when they get to it, however.
Yeah, they are. And it's also quite a sweeping corner, is the first corner on this racetrack. It's going to be interesting because it sort of tightens up at the apex. The drivers who might be going side by side might suddenly find themselves squeezed to the inside a bit too much. So we will see what they can do as they head down to the grid.
Well, they're getting ready to grid up for the first race, and Ryan Karabot will be in pole just ahead of Dean Vella. George Page will be in third, and Adrian Manduka will take fourth. Then it's Jake Stammerton fifth, Sean Kassar in sixth, Steve Farrell, as we saw, was seventh, Aaron DiBattista in eighth, Brandon Bonello ninth, and that a surprise there, Mikael Makeska in 10th.
Yeah, that rounds out the top 10 of our field. Of course, racing tonight, we are going to have 18. So it's Craig Caruana on the 6th row of the grid alongside Sheldon Muscat. Ilan Dimesh Gershi on the 7th row of the grid alongside Jaden Edel. And then Denzil Agius, Paolo Camilleri, Mark Shembry, and Tishan Moodley, who was not able to set a time. The only driver unable to set a time, rounding out the field.
18 drivers will be getting themselves ready to get on to the grid as we see the hills, we see the sights. It's crazy to think this hosted an F1 race. I mean, it hosted 2 F1 races back in the 90s. And, well, after that, really, no one really goes here apart from, as I was saying, the super formulas. And such a shame. This is such a fun little track. And, of course, if it's your first time seeing this on iRacing, this is the free track. So whatever you've got, you know, if you've got good content, you can race this track. And a lot of drivers learn how to race on iRacing on this track. That wasn't really what I had out there, but other drivers do. As most of the drivers now getting ready to get themselves gridded up. 25 minutes for the first race around here. So just waiting for 2 more drivers. That temperature is rising. The track temperature, one driver left, all there. 31 Celsius right now, 87 Fahrenheit. It's a hot morning in Okayama, but it's going to be 25 hot minutes for these drivers, and it's green flag for the feature to get us started. As expected, the leaders getting a very clean getaway. Just one driver at the moment, side by side. Manduka's going to try and squeeze his teammate there. The pads will have no chance but to just take to the inside line through Williams. Behind, everybody gets clean by. Have some side by side as well. Gitchy as well. Side by side with Jaden Yule, but they all get themselves sorted out right now, single file. But that start really has helped the leaders.
It really very much has. A 6/10 between Dean Vella and George Page right in behind, and a couple of moments side by side further back, Craig Caruana dropping a place to Sheldon Muscat, who gains that one that he did off the very start. Is Dean Vella going to go for an overtaking move here? I don't think he is, but I think that Karabot is going to throw up the defensive shape. Jake Samet looking to the inside of Manduka. Feels as though he's going to have to back out of that move. Farrell involved in a little bit of tussling. This is with Sasa right in behind Samet and Manduka, as it's getting very, very tight between these drivers. Is Farrell going to be able to get the exit off of the corner? Not quite yet. But he is going to try and pull alongside. That might be slightly further back. Batista's going to have a go. He's going to try and have a look, and Farrell, bit squirrely on the exit, but enough to hold on to position.
Yeah, Di Battista just got himself a little bit wrong there. That cambering on the inside of Redmond, catching him out a little bit there and losing some time. They're all trying to find their way out there. Probably the first time that they've been driving in this series around here with the F4s, around people, not just hot lapping out there. As you can see, more drivers trying to take different lines at the back, but they're all keeping it single file at the moment as drivers taking different exit lines as well. It's very quiet. We said that, of course. Sometimes, even if you can't make the overtake, that doesn't mean it's a track or a race that people aren't enjoying. This is really tough because the name of the game right now is to keep with one another, and they almost lost that right away. This is what Ryan will be seeing. Nothing in front of him. Behind him, he's got a whole train of cars trying to get past him.
Yeah, Vela and Karabot had a great start where they built up about 0.6 of a buffer ahead of Padge, but that has been brought completely down by the fact that Karabot threw up that defensive shape slightly further back. Farrell might still be involved in all of the fighting. De Battista all over the back of him as they head through the next couple of braking zones, but not able to make his way through just yet, just sitting in behind for the time being. And you can understand that you don't want to make these moves too early. As you said earlier on, Craig, it's going to be the last couple of laps where they go and make those overtaking opportunities stick. So for now, it's just sighting. For now, it's just waiting for a mistake from the driver in front. And sometimes it's about trying to force them into it. And Muscat almost getting it out of Caruana in the background of this field. But everybody in the top 14 still within 1 second as we will head over to the next lap.
Yeah, next lap on Sheldon Muscat as well, trying to catch up. And 2 cars in front of him is Mikhail Makechka. That's a surprise. Not making any moves right now, as you can see. Drivers trying to just open up the corners. Farrell blocking the run there. But Di Battista, Muscat as well, trying to find runs and nothing at the moment. Only 2 people. I'm about to say we only had 2 people not in their starting positions, and that was Shembri and Moodley. Well, Moodley's just had they both just had a moment and they swapped positions. No one is actually having a net positive or negative at the moment, but this could be it for Di Battista, forcing Farrell to go on the defense, and he's had to go on the defense. They're losing the slipstream. That could be a little bit issue there. They're going to take this pretty wide. Bonello's going to try and force this, and he realizes, yeah, I could, but it's not the right moment. See if Di Battista's going to make a mistake here as he comes through at the hairpin and into Revolver. Nowhere for him to go. It's all right to be fighting, but look at them. They're losing the tie right now, and that's a good run from Di Battista, and he should be getting this like candy from a baby around Redmond corner. He gets that overtake done.
Yeah, and he does, and it's almost going to be 3 wide in the background between the drivers just behind him. He's been set free. He can go off. Farrell, Boniello, and Macheka all trying to go for a move, and Macheka's going to get it on Boniello. So that is going to be a move that is going to work out for himself. And through the final sector, he was able to set it up and take it. But Boniello out of the final corner is going to get a better exit. Is he going to be able to pull alongside? He's going to give it a go, and he will briefly be alongside, but not quite enough. Caruana in the background might take the opportunity, but not quite yet once again. And it's going to be a chain reaction. So Muscat's going to have a look at Caruana. Then Muscat will have a poor exit, and Gershi is going to have a look at him. So all 5 of these drivers really pushing each other to the very limit here. And Farrell and De Battista can take the opportunity and try to break away. Late lunge in the background from Ellel on Gershi. Is he going to be able to get that one up to 13th place? I don't think he will, but I think they're side by side on the exit. Indeed they are. And Ellel in the end has to back out. Doesn't quite have the straight line speed, tucked back into the slipstream, and so he's going to wait in behind Muscat again, dipping out to the inside of Caruana briefly. So there's lots of moves being looked at. Caruana having a look at Boniello. Somehow they didn't come to contact, and he waits in behind after that late lunge. I think he's feeling a bit sheepish.
Yeah, I think he wants to be a little bit careful. They're trying to work together to try and group back up to get to the back to the front of the lead 6 right now. Otherwise, this would basically be the group battling to see who gets the best spots for the transfer for the reverse grid, with the top 8 reverse for the sprint race, because these are the leaders. Team Vela, Karabot trying to pull ahead way now. A Padge can't really start to make that move as more drivers making mistakes at the end. And of course, if you get side by side, you have to try and follow the train, and that's what some of these drivers have been trying to do. Sheldon Muscat get past Caruana, and now Grushi right behind is now just looking to see if he can make a upset here. a very interesting line out of Williams there from Caruana. Does help him, though. He gets a nice little run here up into Atwood, but doesn't have the run. It's kind of the name of the story. You think about it, the only overtakes we've had that haven't come at the hairpin have either been the start-finish line or that one overtake that Maketska's made going into Mike Knight corner, which is something you never hear about. Here comes Jake Stammer having to defend against Sean Cassar. And they do keep it side by side for a moment. And this is what we were saying earlier. You try and take it side by side, banging up the wheels. If you can't get it done at the hairpin, you have to be prepared to go side by side through here. Thankfully, they both survive.
Yeah, what I have noticed is a lot of drivers able to go side by side. They pull alongside in the first corner, and throughout the entire first sector, they're able to stay alongside. So it's a very, very good one to see, and a very, very interesting one to watch in terms of all of those drivers. All of those moves so far have been pretty unsuccessful, but it does mean that the opportunities are being built. And as they head through the race and fatigue sets in, and especially when we head to the sprint race later, where it's a little bit more manic, I think we're going to be seeing drivers having mistakes in that segment. Heading over to what will be lap number 6 of this race, and Karabot has led every single one of them. Dean Vella has been close, but not close enough to make an overtake. But I think he's sitting behind here. I don't think he feels as though he needs to make that move as Macheka gets through on Farrell on the main straight and stays in behind De Battista. Aaron De Battista now is almost back within a 1 second range of Cassar, which means that he'll start to pick up the slipstream some point soon if he keeps that momentum up. So he's been able to kind of undo the work that Farrell had done earlier on in terms of he's been able to catch back up to the pack. Farrell had dropped off a little bit because he was trying to defend, and now he's able to make his way back through. Page might have that opportunity to make the overtake on Dean Vella, and he's going to have a look. You can see how quite very close these top 4 drivers are, and it's just going to be very, very tight indeed between Page and between Vella at the moment. It was down to under 1/10 of a second. Page backs out, but he's starting to threaten.
Well, Muscat had a moment out there as well with Bonello. And there they both are in there. I think I saw a broken tire as well. And it was a big mistake. Hold on to the brakes there for a moment. What it was Bonello losing in the car, having a bit of a spin out there. And Muscat had nowhere to go, just had to unfortunately met in the middle. And that was unfortunate for both those drivers. The incident has been noted by the race control. Probably won't see the decision tonight, but that will be after the race. Possibly Maduka is going there. Well, we might get that looked at right now. You never know. We've got live stewards. However, these drivers don't need anything looking at right now. They just need to keep it calm. And I did wonder last time by if any of these drivers were going to look for a move, but they're getting up to the optimal pace they need to make an overtake. They're getting to that overspeed moment at the end of this, and no one's prepared to really go for that late dive at the moment in these F4s. It's doable, but I wouldn't want to try and late brake in an F4 car.
No, it's unsettles the car very easily if you go for the late braking move. And that's what a lot of F4 drivers have fallen foul of over the years. It's one of the most common types of incidents you can get into in a Formula 4 car, whether in real life or virtual. It is that instability under braking that the drivers will try to make the most of drivers ahead having, so they're going to try to push them to go late braking. That's why you've seen a lot of moves, a lot of dashes to the inside before ducking out relatively early, or trying to force that mistake. You're trying to force that defensive manoeuvre from the car ahead so that you can make your way through relatively easily. Cassar's got a very good run on the back of Samut, and he might try to set himself up out of the final corner if he doesn't get too much dirty air, but I think he stayed just about too tight to the line, so I don't think his exit out of the final corner is as good as his whole final sector has been, as we've got a couple of drivers in the pit lane, Brandon Bonello and Mark Shembry both in, and Bonello back out of the lane. He's going to be 1 lap down on these leaders. He might have a factor to play later on when more drivers make their way through on him, and when more drivers try to fight whilst they've got a car to fight around.
Well, let's have a replay of what happened to Bonello as these drivers head the way up there. And this is Bonello probably just going to have to slide there. That looks like the car just unsettled on the braking. You could say he'll hold the brakes. Well, he was holding the brakes and he just went straight there. They went nose to nose, and yeah, it was unfortunate there for Muscat, and trying to get by Shembry as well. They do get by straight away, and this is a no-no in motor racing. Always rejoin safely. And there was a little rush of blood to the head there. That was unfortunate. I talk about a rush of blood to the head. Aaron DiBattista has not managed to catch up to these 6. There he is just in the background. These 6 have not changed positions. And now you got teammates battling teammates and one poor man on their own. And Jake Samet, Manduka right there with his teammate Padge. And you got Dean Vela around Karabot as well. Vela's got his teammate right in the back. It's Kassar. They're not looking to make some moves, and you can get a good run out of here, but with everyone so tightened up in this pack, the car in front is going to get the slipstream, and it's interesting to see Vela's not been able to really make inroads on Karabot all race. In fact, they're matching times all the time with 13 minutes to go. I do wonder if this is more strategy than just trying to take the lead.
Going to be all about that strategy as we head over towards the second half of this race, and it becomes more about taking the lead. I've always said this, and I've maintained this in sim racing especially, you kind of want to be second more than anything else. Some series you want to be third, you want to be sitting in behind and watching them fight, but I think with the ability of these drivers, with the way that these F4 cars are, second place is exactly where you want to sit right now. So while Karabot has led this entire way, I don't think that's the outcome he would have wanted. I think there's at some point soon he's going to consider letting Vela go and sitting in behind. It won't happen towards the very end of the race, it won't happen in the last couple of laps, but it might happen where he's got about 5 minutes to go, where he can sort of cool down and recharge his energy before he goes one more time. And he's going to think about it very, very deeply at the moment. That's all that Karabot will be thinking about. He'll have already established his lines that he wants to take around this circuit in the 9 laps that he's done and the 3 laps of qualifying, and however much practice he's managed to get in, so he's just going to be thinking all about strategy now. And that is the beauty of sim racing, is that you can have as much practice as you want, and then when you head into the race, you're not necessarily thinking about the race, and that's what Karabot will be having right here, right now. 11 minutes 30 left on the clock, and Dean Vela sitting about 2 to 3 tenths back from Karabot the entire race long. He's clearly got a very, very set out strategy.
Yeah, got the strategy, and let's go peloton racing right now. As the pack, they're the breakaway group, and they know they don't need to do anything too aggressive. And as they come on by, maybe we just start to see that as well. As hello, Padge, you're going to try and go around the outside of Atwood Curve. That's very brave. Has worked a little bit here. That's going to help Karabot, and look how close is Padge right now. That gap might close, but the door has been left open. They're going to go side by side, and Vela might have to give this up, but it will need to be late braking for George in the 7. Gets it done, lock up at the tyres as well. Tries to cut off the line. They do bang wheels. The overlap is still there as they head down into Revolver, and George Padge will get that move. Right, Karabot will be very happy to see that, because everyone has just managed to lose the slipstream now because of that. And what that also allows, look at that, Jake Stammet now right there side by side with Manduka trying to battle it out, and Stammet's going to try and go around the outside of Hobbs' corner, and they do come together. Everybody just bunches up a little bit there. That could have been nasty. That's also nasty. Kassar almost touching there. Look at the concentration Stammet's got left and right. So all the counter steering, the force steering, everything. Stammet holds on, but that was a very messy intersection there for some of the drivers.
And it might stay particularly messy if they can keep it straight on a line. Jake Sammet trying to give it a go on Manduka, and he's gone very wide on the exit of the corner. Saved it pretty well, has the 53. So he's really trying to give a go, really trying to hammer down his advantage in terms of the speed at the moment on Manduka. Looking to make that move. Dean Vela also further up is under pressure. That is going to be Padge on his way through. Vela's going to get good turn in. Is he going to get the exit? Not quite yet. Sazza and Sammet now are going to be fighting in the background. So these 5 have really lit up the action, and this will be benefiting Karabot massively. 1.7 is the gap.
Well, Vela looked like he was trying to make a move. Everyone's just trying to do it. And a lock up from Padge. And that's going to put the outside now. That's always tough to go around the outside of Revolver corner. But Vela's trying it, using that excess runoff there. It's the service road where you use the national layout or the short layout here. And drivers love to run that. And that has allowed. And now look at this. It's teams colliding, because behind, Kassar's trying to take it there on Manduka. We'll have to go around the outside. The animals are 2x2. It's Noah's Ark out there, and they're side by side through Hobbs, now into Mike Knight. Oh, they're going to be side by side. More touching at the wheels. That's a fantastic save by all of them. Dear start driving, we're going to go 3 wide with 8 to go. We're going to go 4 wide with 8 minutes to go. And we're back to 3. Who's going to get into tap? They all go spooling. They have all got struck out there.
That is ridiculous. One too many drivers into first corner. Doesn't quite go. 3 might have worked. 4 definitely didn't. And that means we're going to see them falling down the field. Vela, especially, is one of the drivers who's going to be all the way down. Vela and Samet down to 9th and 10th. Manduka in 11th. And they're still going side by side. Kazar is going to stay ahead of Paj, and Gershi is going to try and get ahead as well. He's going to get the run. He's going to get ahead. Samet is really struggling on pace here, so I think the 53 might be having to come into the pit lane at the end of this lap. They're side by side, slightly further ahead, as Paj and Gershi still give it a go to fight. The 7 trying to make his way through on the 4 as Agius has made his way through on Manduka, and Karabot is in the lead, 4 seconds ahead of second place De Batista. So we saw the fighting earlier on, and well, that fighting ended up not being for a position further down in the points. It ended up being for a podium spot. By the way, Samet and Manduka both with meatballs.
Yeah, Samet's wheels were not looking straight. Here's a man that just inherited. I tell you what, Mikhail, you might want to get a lottery ticket, because where has that come from? He was sitting in 7th, probably thinking, okay, let's try and just pick up points in the sprint race. No, all of a sudden, he's on course for a podium here. Vela, Paj, both into the pit lane after that repair. Samet will also dive in as well. That moment has caught everybody out, and it was just people trying to find a line that didn't exist. And I think it was just one tap on the rear from someone just missing their braking point, though, just not expecting the hard braking, and it just sent everyone going. And well, we always talk about the bowling moment out there. That was the bowling moment. 4 cars all into the gravel. Manduka now into the pits as well, as we're seeing Farrell looking on with Maketska and Di Battista. Here's the replay, though, and this is going to be very interesting, because just watch this. There's 3 wide, and I didn't catch who it was there. Just that small tap, and yeah, that's all it was, Joseph. It was just the 3 wide. They were braking harder than they needed to, well, because they were 3 wide, of course, and the car behind wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, just didn't seem to be aware of it at all, so it's unfortunate to see all of those drivers come to contact, because they worked so hard over the last 20 minutes to get into that position, but they know what they can do heading into the sprint race, and they will try to maximise that pace. And of course, a couple of them still in contention for points. So Dean Bella, for example, he's in 10th place, as we'll see what they can do. These drivers have been thrown up into podium contention. It's Majeka and De Batista who might have a moment of side-by-side into the first corner. Not quite yet. Majeka didn't quite get the run. Farrell sitting in behind as well, so it's going to be these 3 fighting for positions in the top 3 at the moment. We're going to take a look at a replay of exactly what happened to Denzil Agius. What has happened to the number 89? He's just following through in the 21 spins, and Agius just chooses the wrong direction to go.
You got 2 ways to go, left or right, and or sometimes neither way is the right way to go, and that's unfortunate for him. We'll just have to they were to keep going, though. I think Alou had to get into the pits after that damage. Now here's an interesting one. Maketska's going to try and go around the outside. Remember that cammering there at the hairpin does not work, but look at him. He's keeping it calm, and he's using the upper finger method. I know that's a really weird thing to say, but drivers have a comfortable handling position of a steering wheel. Some people like to use the index fingers. They like to use the middle fingers. No, that's an index finger when it comes to shifting on the. Oh no, I'm wrong. It's actually it is the lower fingers. There, it's the index finger high up there. It's not a death grip as such, but it is a very interesting way. And like I said, people with different ways. Maketska, he's already had one overtake at Mike Knight as he was trying to set himself up again, possibly, but a dip of the gravel there for Di Battista. That's probably going to allow him to look at something. He just takes a breather and he knows what he needs to do. He's got 4 minutes left. Can he turn this surprising P3? And it's really weird to say Mikhail with a P3. It's a surprise, but after everything that's happened with the pace that he could not do in qualifying, this is a surprise. Just can't get the run right now, but his teammate Farrell's right behind. Don't have to worry too much yet.
All these drivers are going to get very, very close. We've seen Macheka taking some alternative lines, which has opened up the door to Steve Ashisha Farrell to have a look, and it's also opened up the door to Aaron De Battista to get a little bit nervous. So these drivers are going to be fighting it out, and I think Macheka is going to be the wild card here. I think he, whether he likes it or not, is going to be the deciding factor in this fight, as they're both going to go very far to the inside line. Is Macheka going to try and double bluff him? He is, but he's not quite able. Just about to squeeze through. De Battista sort of committed to the inside, then came back across, then couldn't commit again to the inside. So Macheka was just about behind by the fact that De Battista hadn't fully swept back across, and so it's smart defending from the number one. Farrell waiting and watching in the background for Macheka to take any more of these alternative lines. And as I was saying, Macheka will be the wild card in this, whether it's going to be him making a lunge on De Battista for P2, whether it's going to be him going for an alternative line and Farrell sweeping through. It's all on the 97's, it's all on his bonnet, it's all in his helmet, as they've got 2 minutes 45 left to go.
That was an interesting little weave there. I think Mikhail was looking to basically go, I want that line, but De Battista was like, no, this is my line. He said, just leave me alone, leave me alone. And he was trying to sell that double, even a triple bluff there for a moment, and then the late braking. Maybe that was just a little bit of practice for a couple laps time. We're on lap 16, of course. There'll be one more lap to go after this. I can't see anything happening on this time by. Look for the serpentine. I don't think there's going to be any serpentine. Ryan Karabots is out the picture in the top there. Don't need to worry about him. I don't think Farrell's looking to make a move on his teammate either. Nope, keeping it calm. They're just cooling the tyres down for one last shootout.
One last shootout indeed is what the drivers are going to be having, and they're going to have to really, really take this one into account. De Battista in this second place at 3.2 off of the race leader, so unless Karabot makes a mistake, it's all for the 13 to take his victory. De Battista, though, he's under a lot of pressure for second place, not just from Macheka, but also from Farrell behind, and then Kassar is going to be massively off, but Caruana is going to be able to make that move. He's on the inside. Is he able to pick that place up? Kassar, instead of trying to sweep his way back around the outside, is going for the up and under, and then the up and under again out of the last corner and heading down towards turn number one. He's going to give it a go, or in fact it wasn't the last corner, it was Hobbs' corner that he was trying to give it a go. There's the last corner. He's going to come out on the exit with as much slipstream as he possibly can as we head on to the final lap of the race.
Yeah, final lap of the race. Are we going to see Kassar look for a move here? The answer is no, but maybe Caruana's going to make a mistake out of the first corner. Nothing at the moment. What about these three battling for the two spots at the back of the podium? Oh, I do wonder. Oh, the lean at the head now from Rakeska as he's trying to work out where he wants to go. And I think he knows that De Battista is just going to hold this line. It's not the optimal line when they come braking for the hairpin, but unfortunately it might be the line he has to concede. And that's very long back, and he realizes right away, no point trying to look for a move right there, because that would have been a very long shot. He's only got a few more corners to look for this, and we know that Maketska's made a move into White Knight. More battling right behind as well. Caruana holds off Sean Kassar. Glitchy as well, right behind, trying to look for it as well. Is there going to be anything here from Maketska? Still too far away. Karabot's too far away as well. He's only got one more corner. 2 more corners left to go to win. There he is. And it's still all to play for the rest of the spots. Right, Karabot has held this lead since he got it from qualifying. And he's going to have a fantastic win here. He didn't need to worry about what happened behind him. He just kept it going. He takes victory in the feature behind. De Battista does hold on to that P2. Maketska with a surprising P3. In fact, really, De Battista with the surprising P3. Any late battles here at the back? Nothing to go to boot. They all come by where they started that last lap.
Yeah, they certainly do, and they will be coming to the line now. The closest one is going to be Gertschy to the back of Kassar, but then Gertschy came home in that 7th place. Camilleri, Agius and Dean Vella will round out the top 10, but what a story it was for the drivers who were fighting it out for 2nd place. And, well, there's going to be some choice words after that, and I'm sure that they're going to be heading into the sprint race with a very different approach.
Yeah, sprint race is going to be very interesting now. Some of the last drivers just come across the line, because that was quite an interesting incident out there, and Well, that just changes everything for the sprint race coming up shortly, because that's a big difference. Let's quickly try and go over those results. Ryan Carabot did take the win away from Aaron DiBattista, who caught up into up 6 places, by the way. That was up into P2. Mikhail Maketska will take 3rd, and Steve Farrell will be in 4th. Craig Caruana, sorry. I should mess up my own name. He came home in 5th. Sean Cassar will be in 6th. Ian Gritschi will take in 7th. Paolo Calamari, congratulations. You're going to be pole position. You'll be 8th. Denzel Agius will be 9th. Dean Vella will be 10th.
Be the end of the top 10, and George Padge just outside in 11th, and Jake Samet not finishing too far off as well. Tashan Moodley, after no lap in qualifying, ends up in 13th, and Jaden Ello, after the incident, ends up in 14th. Then it's Adrian Manduka, Brandon Bonello, Mark Shembry, and Sheldon Muscat who round out the 18-car field.
Well, that was not what we were expecting. A massive moment there. And we talked about how chaotic a sprint race is going to be. But now you've got drivers completely out of position because of that. This has completely changed the story and the game plan for a lot of the drivers coming into the sprint race now.
Definitely has. It'll be a very, very interesting sprint race to watch indeed. Because, I mean, we thought they were going to be patient, and they were patient until a moment where they weren't patient. So it very much demonstrates the fact that they are affected very heavily by what the other drivers are doing and what the other drivers are capable of doing as well. So they are very aware of what everyone else is doing. If they all drive calmly in this sprint race, they'll be absolutely fine. If they all drive and try to make overtakes, suddenly we could see a domino effect.
Well, they all drove calmly for 15 minutes before in the 25-minute race, and then the last 5 minutes or 8 minutes was just where everything happened out there. So it could happen again. But I look at Dean Vella, I look at George Padge, I look at Jake Samet in places they don't want to be right now. So that's going to be a work out there. But as we saw in the first race, Makechka, yes, he locked into that podium. However, he still made moves before that. I think he made 4 moves before that, got himself up into P7. So points are still there for some of those drivers that have lost out on points, and they are going to have to play a little bit aggressive, I feel, if they want to get onto the points later in the sprint race.
Yeah, it feels as though that's exactly what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to be patient, and it's going to be all about waiting, because we were waiting for an opportunity. The drivers behind were waiting for an opportunity all the way through that feature race, and it came. So they're going to have to take that same approach to the sprint. It's a race of attrition, especially around such a tight track like Okayama. And, well, we will just have to see what the drivers end up doing. They'll certainly have learnt lessons from the race one, from the feature, and they're going to have to try and apply them to the sprint. But it's a different dynamic, isn't it, what they've got at the moment? Because normally they'd be doing a sprint and a feature. The sprint is kind of the warm-up where they get all of the silly mistakes out of the way. They've done the feature. Now they're heading to the sprint. Is it going to be more about just sort of taking your foot off the gas and, as it were, and just sort of driving as you're used to? Or are they going to be driving more manually? Are they going to be thinking a bit more about it?
I think this is now the thinking man's game. Last time was the chess man's game. This is the thinking man's game. They're going to have to look to see what they can do now. They understand what the field wants to do. Now they're going to have to put it into practice. It's almost like the warm-up, and now this is the main deal. And even though it's called a sprint, it really is a feature when you think about it in that respect, where they know what they've done for 25 minutes. Let's do 15 more minutes as the drivers getting ready to get up on to the grid. Paolo Calamari and Gritschi will be on that front row. Sean Cassar, Craig Caruana, Steve Farrell, Mikhail Maketska, Aaron DiBattista, and Ryan Carabot will be your top 8, and Denzel Agius and Dean Vella. I'm too fast for Christian, but as we're all getting ready, you just never know when you've got to be there. There they are in those, and, well, the rest of the field, I'll just quickly go by it as well, because I'm catching up on Christian, Padge, Samet, Moodley, Ilu, Manduka, Bonello, Shembry, and Muscaters. Always like to catch your director out there when you can. Different name at the front, though, and that's going to be the name of this. Is when you're in a sprint race with reverse grid, usually that leader has a little bit of problems out there, or something happens and there's a cork in the champagne bottle. I don't think they'll be looking at any champagne bottles out there today. Green flag for 15 minutes, and it is a bad start from Palo there. And Gritchy is going to try and get the best of runs here, and he does. And you're going to see a little bit more chaos coming into the start here because of that. And already, Calamari has gone down 1, almost looking like he's gone down 2 now. And he has behind as well. Vela's made up a place. Ilu's made up a place. Benella's made up a place. They have managed to just get themselves into single file. But you can see McKeska, he's looking for a move on his teammate Farrell. And straight in there, he gets it. And also, Vela's made it. And right away, Denzel Agius, he's going backwards.
Not a great start for Agius at all, and he will try to build his way back up. De Battista alongside Vela, and he's made that position up to 7th place, but it has been a very, very good start for Dean Vela indeed, and he's going to try to keep that one up. Macheka's going to be trying to make his way through on Farrell there. It's going to be yellow flag slightly further back, as Macheka now almost up to 3rd place, but Camilleri and Caruana just squeezing him out, just holding on to position, and Farrell as well, making sure that he picks up that 5th place. Macheka's going to run slightly wide, so he might be under threat from Dean Vela. They might go 3 wide. It's very, very tight indeed between a lot of these drivers, and Agius looks like he's had further issues.
Agius has had further issues. McKeska just continues to just show that small track, tight section, does not matter. Gets that around the outside of Redmond Corner. That's one for my little cross book there. I haven't seen that for a while, for a car to go around the outside there of that corner in front. He sees Caruana and Calamari going side by side. And I think Calamari will go a bit wide there. In fact, they almost just tap wheels, and that's going to hold them up, the top 2, on their own right now. And in such a slipstream dependent car and dependent race on here, the last thing you want if you're Maketska and you want to get to that lead, well, you don't want to be held up here. Got to look for a late braking move there, and Maketska gets it on to Calamari. And he knows the importance here. In fact, I think his teammate Farrell is also trying to join him right behind. They know the importance of this right now.
Yeah, they very much do. It's going to be very important to get ahead. Gershi and Kassar are going to be hoping that they keep fighting. And actually, they go side by side up in the front. Kassar's going to have a go, but not quite close enough. What's going to happen further back? Farrell's going to be on the inside of Camilleri. Going to try to give it a go. He can't quite make the move. Gershi's had a poor exit. Kassar takes the opportunity to pull alongside, and that means that the 24 is now in the lead of the race. Gershi's going to drop back. Is he going to try and make a move? No, I think the sensible thing is to wait in the background. Farrell and Camilleri alongside each other. Farrell with a good lunge to the inside. He makes the move. It might be another move on Camilleri from Dean Vela. Not quite yet. He's going to try and get it on the exit. What a lunge the 54 is going to make into the next braking zone, and he does so. Might get a little bit of a slowdown for that one, but he's through. And Camilleri now under pressure from De Battista. So very, very much a butterfly effect from the 23. It just went from bad to worse.
Had a little bit of a tap from Vela that pushed him wide through Hobbs, and that just started that whole moment for Calamari, and he's going backwards fast all of a sudden. In fact, yeah, you see Jake Samet as he's trying to just see how he can get around this chaos in front of him, and you see side by side right now Calamari and Padge, and Padge has not had the best of starts here. Padge has gone off big time there. Padge has had another crash out there. That could be his day done. It is his day done. Meanwhile, Lou trying to battle Samet. Samet, we just saw there. He's got a Lou right behind him. And he'll take the inside line. Inside usually works, but surprisingly this time, Joseph, we've actually seen drivers battle through this section of the track. We didn't see it last race.
No, we didn't. We saw them be very patient, but I think now that we've had those moves where they've gained more confidence in themselves around the track, that's really where we're seeing the opportunities, is they're going, maybe I could have made a move here. Maybe I could have made a move here. And they are very much exercising that to full effect here. Farrell with very wide line, who's going to try and sweep in on Macheka, and Caruana is under pressure from the 97 as well. So once again, it's going to be the 97 that's the cork in the bottle right here, right now, and who's going to try and stay in it. We're going to get a replay. What has happened to Agius on the first lap, and that's just contact once again. The 89, he's been involved in 2 incidents today, neither of which I'd say are his fault particularly.
No, he's been unfortunate out there today. Luck's not been on his side. Luck's been on these drivers' side. Farrell, well, he started 5th. He's still 5th right now as Maketska's up 2 places. Caruana up a place as well. And is this Mikhail looking to make a move? He thought about it for a moment, doesn't get it. Now he's going to try the over-under, but now he touches that apex outward curve. Might be able to make a move here. He's really pushing. The overspeed will help him, but then he loses it all as he hits that clear air. Massive effect that will do. We'll need to go around the outside of the hairpin. Always treacherous. Can he keep the overlap? There is overlap. That's just what he wants to set himself up now. Side by side through Revolver and then into Piper side by side. This is not helping them if they want to catch up to the leaders. And in fact, a little bit of a tap there. Great defending by Caruana. Now Maketska's on the defense behind as well. Dean Vela trying to make a move as well. Can't get it done. Caruana is really opening these corners up and doing some real good moves, but he can't sort it out at the end. He's really struggling as Di Battista. Well, it looks like it's a party out there right now. Not where he wants to be, though. He's 7th place in the party.
He certainly is, and he's going to want to make his way further up. He's just taking a moment to himself down the straight to try and reevaluate what's going on as Macheka once again looking to the inside for fastest lap for Kassar, who's as soon as he was free of the pack, he's managed to make his way further up, and he's going to be able to build that gap on Gershi, who in fairness to him has been able to stick with him. He's about 9/10 back. There's about 2 seconds of difference between these drivers and those at the top as Macheka looks for it. He doesn't go, but Vela does, and that's 5th for the 54. Up he goes, and Macheka now pulls alongside Caruana, tucks back in to pick up the slipstream, and Caruana tries to break it by any means necessary. This is a great camera angle to watch these drivers side by side, as now Macheka picks the outside, Farrell picks the outside, De Battista might pick the middle, but no he doesn't. Late backing out means that he will be able to pull alongside Farrell. It might not be the dream move on Vela, but it's also not going to be the dream move on Farrell either, as they just I mean, this is great racing between them. It's very, very respectful. They're pushing each other to the very limit. You just you can't help but feel whether we're going to get a deja vu back to race 1.
Oh, look at Di Battista. Look at the concentration right now. Really pushing. A slide and a big catch up there. And Farrell lost control of the car. And in all due fairness, there was not a lot that Ryan Karabot could have done there. He was right behind. Farrell's going to hit the barriers, gets the meatball flag. In all due fairness there for Karabot, not a lot he could have done. And that's so unfortunate for Farrell. He was battling hard with Di Battista and his teammate when you think about it, but could not hold on. Gets into the pits though, but that could be all done for him as more battles still happening at the back here. As here's Brandon Bonello still battling Sheldon Muscaten. They have made places up here. They've done really well to make places up, trying to see if they can get close to those points. They're a few seconds away though, but even still they can get it. And we're gonna get a small replay as well of what happened to these drivers. And that looks like that's outward curve, and that's a little bit ambitious there.
A little bit ambitious indeed. That's what some of the moves have been here tonight, and well, that's just the way that Okayama is. Really, it's just very tight. You have to be ambitious with the moves, so it's unsurprising that's the way that it's gone. Brandon Bonello to the inside. Can he make the move on Muscat? Not quite yet. Muscat's going to have a wide line. He's using all of the track here to try and extract time and try and stay ahead of the number 59 right now as Macheka makes his way through on Vela, and it looks like that's a strong fight going on for 4th place, but Vela gets the exit and he gets back ahead of Macheka. It's very difficult to keep our eyes off of this fight right now, because as soon as we look away, someone makes a move or someone makes a mistake, and then we're right back at them.
We're right back at them, and they might have some lap cars. No, they don't have lap cars either. This is what we saw as well. Another moment. This was that moment we saw with Farrell. Just loses. That small slide took all the momentum out there, and there was not a lot that Karabot could do, because Karabot was just getting there at the wrong time, and really hard to make that reaction when you're also just going through that process in your head of how to get around the exit of a corner. So that's just unfortunate for him. With 5 minutes to go, might just get the 11 laps out there today for this sprint race, and that might be very helpful. Here's a that was the replay as well. We're getting replays on replays out here, as I think we're getting another moment. It has been the little bit of the chaotic sprint race we were talking about. We're going side by side with that battle. We were looking at Bonello and Muscat, and I think Bonello might get that move done. No, they come together, though. That's unfortunate. It's just people just tightening up. They want that camber of the hairpin.
They very much do. They want to get the ideal line. You're not going to be able to get the ideal line every single time when you've got another car right alongside you. That's going to be the difficulty that they're going to face, and that's exactly why all of these drivers are going to be just trying to find any move by any means necessary at the moment. There's about 0.5 of a second splitting third and sixth at the moment as they head out to the straight once again. This is the closest they've been for a couple of laps. Craig Caruana is going to be the only one without slipstream, and the 54 is going to look to the inside. Dean Vella has a go, but I think Caruana just threw that defensive shape a bit too early and scared off the 54 for the time being. That's the prime overtaking opportunity into turn one. You just have to get close enough, you have to use enough slipstream, you have to avoid moments like that where they go off into the gravel. That might mean that Vella has a poor exit, and indeed it does. It means that he has a poor run through the next segment, and that allows Macheka back up into fourth.
Yeah, Macheka gonna take that P4. And now looking for that last podium spot, really, is Aaron Di Battista's right behind. He's looking at this. He's probably seeing what the drivers are doing. He's having a look to see, where can I go? What are they doing? And he sees that Vella takes the wrong line. Can I expose him for taking the wrong line? No. I'm just going to have to allow myself to stay in here and look at the work. He's probably talking to his teammates as well. Probably just trying to work out some ideas here. What can we do? Or what can I do around here right now with 3 minutes to go? There's probably going to be about 3 more laps to go, and that's going to be important. He sees in front Dean Vella looking for everything. Vella gets a little bit of a slide, and this time no issues. And a little bit of a wobble as well from Di Battista. We're getting a little bit dicey, and keeping as well. The track temp is starting to cool a little bit. 29 Celsius, it was as high as 32 earlier. As in front of these two, it looks like Makachka is going to get that P3. Finally gets up to it. It'll be 2 podiums. Or will it be 2 podiums? Trying to hold on to this. Through the gravel they go. Caruana holds on. The outside is strong, though, for Makachka. That's a fantastic move to hold on around Williams.
Certainly is, and there might still be moves here. Caruana just dropping down behind Vella, and they're going to be 3 wide with all of these drivers as they go through. Macheka and Caruana still locked in battle, and it's about who gets the better exit. The answer is going to be Caruana for the time being, but Dean Vella's going to have a look at Macheka as well. They almost went 3 wide in the last corner, in the last braking zone. Are they going to go 3 wide here? Not quite. They're just swarming around the track looking for position, and Vella smartly backs out. That means that he's just going to allow the straight fighting between Caruana and Macheka. As it gets a bit more desperate later on, they will go for moves they haven't done previously. Macheka has a look, doesn't go for it. His exit's compromised, and Vella has a go. He's having a look really close to the outside here, and it's going to get very, very tight on the exit of the corner. That means that Macheka just defends. Di Battista has a look again. It's a butterfly effect. That's what this whole race has been. They've just been throwing each other off. And Di Battista almost under pressure from Samet as we head on to what will be either the penultimate or the final lap of the race.
Yeah, going to be the penultimate lap. 5 seconds. Well, about 5 extra seconds it was for Casap. So these drivers just going to have to look at this train right now. Makachka, Vella, Di Battista, Samet, Karabok, Manduka, all here in this battle. You could even throw a blanket with Lou right there, close enough, side by side with Di Battista on Vella. And Vella's not had the best of run through Williams in this time. He's going to get caught out not once, he's going to get caught out twice as Samet. Here they go on by, and let's see what reaction Samet will give. Goes for the 2-finger approach when it comes to holding the steering wheel and doing the shifting. And look at Vella. Every time he's come down here, he's like, I'm really looking for spots here. What about Makachka and Caruana? Well, it all stays the same. I wonder if they're looking to make some moves on that final lap, because no one's getting those moves done.
Oh my goodness me, that's somebody off. That's Dean Vella in the background. Unfortunate for the 54, it's really not been his day, and Vella has just gone around very tight between Manduka and Karabot, and there's contact. Manduka went for the send, Karabot went for the defensive manoeuvre, and now that means the 13, our feature race winner, is now without a rear wing on the final lap of this race. He's going to try to hold on to the top 10. But as we see these drivers following through to the final lap, they're trying to hold on to position. They're trying to pick up the podiums. Caruana's under more pressure than he has been throughout the race. He's soaked it up so very well. But Checo looks to the outside, but he's not going to be able to get the run. He's tucking back in. He's swarming all over the track to find place. Is this going to be the 97's opportunity?
Bottom picture, here you got Vela. He shot a gap that wasn't there. Losing out is Makechka. Going to look for a gap that doesn't open. No, he doesn't. He's going to do this late apexing, this almost the overcut, the over and in. It doesn't work, but it gets that momentum. But you're going to have to set yourself up here. How do you set yourself up? You take the hairpin around the outside. It's tricky, but he's done it once. He's going to have to do it again if he wants this last spot on the podium. They almost come together, and he has to do a little bit of a weave, and that might be all she wrote. Battling now side by side with Di Battista, who tries to go around the outside of Revolver, and now the outside of Piper. They're still side by side. This is great for Caruana, and what a move, Di Battista. Now with the run, but Makechka responds, going as he can. The slide, it's all over. He can't believe it. And always with one corner left to go, neither can Sean Cassar. More moments happening out there as well. Cassar is going to take the victory. Richie started second. He's going to finish second. Can Caruana hold on to this? Di Battista's just locked in. And well done. He has a fourth. Jake Samet, though, up 7 places to P5. And Jaden Liu will take a 6th place.
Certainly will. What a race that we've just seen. What an evening of racing we've just had. It's been sensational, and somehow it's all involved Dean Vela. He's going to come home in 8th in the end, and Karabot has come home in the top 10. So despite the missing rear wing, he's ended up in the top 10. So a fair play drive for the 13. And, well, he'll be brewing that issue that he had late on. Not that that was going to see him any further up, I don't think, but a race win would have been sensational to back up his race win in the first.
Well, let's go over those results for the sprint. And Sean Cassar takes the victory after that early attack on the start of the race. Gritchy will take the second, and Craig Caruana will take third. Aaron Di Battista, a voice of carnage on the last lap, gets fourth. What a run that was, though, around the outside of Revolver and Piper. Jake Samet will come home in 5th. Jaden Liu, that's a big result for him in 6th. Maduka will take 7th. Dean Vela recovers into 8th. Makechka, with a broken wing, will come home in 9th. Ryan Karabot will come in 10th.
That's our top 10. Brandon Bonello in 11th and Paolo Camilleri in 12th place. Tashan Moodley improved on his 14th place finish in the feature to end up in 13th in the sprint, and Mark Shembry in 14th. Steve Ashisha Farrell will round off our drivers that made it to the end, with Sheldon Muscat, George Padge and Denzel Agius, those who didn't.
Wow, what a race that was. And well, you gotta say to yourself that things can happen in sprint races, and they did happen in sprint races tonight. And we just saw the best of both worlds, I'd like to say, because that was a little bit carnage, but everyone was looking for some moves. But yeah, what a move there from Di Battista. We said it was tough, but he had such a run around Revolver and Piper. I thought he was going to make that move without the incident there. In fact, I'm just looking to see if we've got any people for interviews. And actually, talk of the devil, Aaron Di Battista, I think, is knocking on our door. So I think we might get him in for a chat, and we do. And we've got Aaron Di Battista here. And Aaron, I just want to talk right now about those last few corners, because it looked like you had a fantastic run there, sans the incident, to make the overtake there.
Yeah, it was an interesting race. I think I played the passive side today. I as I said last round, it was going to be interesting because obviously everyone's so close, and I just didn't want to get into. I didn't want to stick my nose into battles I didn't want to, so I just focused on my race, and yeah, I think the patience paid off today.
Patience always pays off at this track. This is a tough track for overtaking. So what was your plan? I know you were saying patience. Was your plan even trying to make a move, or were you just hoping for those incidents? Because it really looked out there that no one was really making clean moves out there.
Yes, I agree with you. It was a bit of I think it was a bit of an extra elbows out today. Honestly, I could feel that there was a bit of, a tense moment. So I was honestly focusing on my tires, saving my tires, because obviously the tires they were very crucial. Obviously here it's a heavy tire wear track, so obviously have to extend their longevity across the race. So I think that paid off in the end as well, because I was almost catching up with the others, and I could see some cars obviously of Mikhail spinning out, I think, as well. And I think I think I was focused. I did my due diligence. I knew that it was going to be a bit tricky over there, so I was focused on tires, and and I think that has actually helped a lot, obviously, in certain battles, in the middle section, even the first sector. It was very planted. I couldn't feel the car loose. So I think I think it was a solid weekend and solid race actually. So yeah, I'm happy with the result.
Well, a nice P2 and a P4 put you in good contention in the championship. Navarra next week. Not a well-known track. I don't know if you've had any experience, but your thoughts about Navarra for next round?
It's a tricky track. It's not an easy track, obviously. What's concerning is the track temps. Obviously, track temp, high track temp is a killer for the tires, and the F4 loves to be a bit snappy. So I think who will manage the most, who manages the better the tires wins, I guess, because it's going to be the same like we had this race as well. It's going to be close. So I don't think it's going to be any different. So we're gonna see a lot of drivers fighting for the win. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Well, Aaron, congratulations on what you can call a good night in the office. A podium and a P4. We look forward to seeing you next time around at Navarra.
See you. Thank you.
Aaron Di Battista there with a good set of points for him today as we head to the calendar. As you can see, it is Navarra Circuit de Navarra next time out, which is actually going to be in 7 short days. And then, of course, we'll get the Gilles Villeneuve for round 4. And then we get Titan Twisty at Snetterton for round 5. Oh, what a calendar this is, especially with Navarra next week. That's going to be the wild card because not many drivers are used to Navarra. But what they are used to is 2 rounds of this F4 SIMAGIC series. And they've had some great running. I think it's put a little spanner in the works because what we thought was going to happen after the first round hasn't happened. And drivers are out of place. And Okayama claims some victims. Navarra will be next time out. And will we see the same again? Or will we see drivers capturing the speed of the speed circuit? Have a good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We look forward to seeing you in 7 days' time.